Yeah, come and take a look at the snow. Bright white as far as your eyesight goes. Come and take a look at the fields of snow. I'll just get my coat, then we're good to go. Come and take a look at the lake. Let's have a quick skate before it gets late. Come and take a look at the frozen lake. Put your clothes on, mate, don't make that mistake.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now 183 shopping days left until Christmas, and I think you know what that means. It's time for Christmas Creeps, your one-stop shop for holiday movies and TV shows all year round. My name is Joseph Wade. I will be your host for this evening. Here with me tonight is my co-host, Mr. Bradford. Brad, what's shaking, buddy?
How's it going? I'm doing well.
I am having a great time here. As we record this, we are officially 6 months away from Christmas. We are as far in the calendar year away from Christmas as we can possibly be. So you know what? Why not just indulge ourselves a little bit and enjoy something that's not Christmassy for a change?
Treat ourselves right. And so, friends, as you're hearing this, we're releasing this on the 4th of July. And what better 4th of July movie than the one and only Jaws, which I have to immediately take back because it's not the one and only. There's 4 of them. It's the only one worth half a damn. I mean, I've seen 3. I think I've seen 4. I don't believe I've seen 2.
Well, Brad, we did podcast about 4.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely remember 4.
And I don't think Santa Jaws counts. I don't think it's part of the canon.
No.
I don't. Papa Steve Spielberg wouldn't allow that. So, but we have talked about that as well. But no, this is the OG original 1975 Jaws, the original summer blockbuster, the original Don't Go Into the Water, There's Sharks in Them Waters movie.
The original film that set off everybody being afraid of sharks and straight up murdering them whenever they get the chance.
Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but you went there, so we have to talk about that too.
It's part of this movie's legacy, and as good as this movie is, it has also kind of done sharks dirty a little bit.
It has.
If you're familiar with the effects of this movie.
Yeah, and even the original author Peter Benchley is a little bit ashamed of that as well. But you know, that's not really
happens.
It's not really what we're here to talk about, because that's more on the culture, because the culture took this movie and ran wild with it.
Yes.
But yeah, Brad. So I guess there's really nothing left to do before we start talking about Jaws tonight. So let's just
rip it.
Rip it. That's right.
I think we've achieved a new level here. I'm going to go ahead and declare a can check. What are you working with, friends?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Jaws tonight, so there's really only one drink you can have, and it's a the famous Narragansett since 1890.
Yes,
I'm drinking a Narragansett tonight in honor of our boy Quint.
Quint does indeed drink a Narragansett in the film. I'm sure he drinks many Narragansetts throughout the course of this film.
He imbibes all kinds of liquor in this film, but the Narragansett is famous.
Yes.
I was in where was I recently? I was in Luray, Virginia on vacation, and we were at a local bar, and behind the bar, they did serve Narragansett, and they did have a Quint standee up on the wall.
Oh, that's lovely. Was it draft?
No, it was in cans, but there was a little sign that said "Have one for Quint."
Oh.
So, like, I wanted to, but no, I had other drinks in mind. But yeah, I got a Narragansett tonight. What about you?
Well, in a Christmas Creeps first, I am also drinking a Narragansett.
Hey-o! Awesome.
I had to go to the grocery store anyways today,
and
I was like, yeah, I have to get a Gansett. I'm doing it for Quint.
Doing it for Quint. That's right.
So we've achieved. This is a first for Christmas Creeps. We're both drinking the same drink, and we are both drinking a drink that appeared in the film in question.
We have achieved can check singularity.
The synchronicity. Can check synchronicity.
Oh, I love it.
Take a sip. I don't even mind Narragansett, to be perfectly honest. Like it's a quality drink, quality brew.
It is like the what is it? What is the phrase I'm looking for here? It's a quintessential brew, so to speak.
Nice.
Thank you. No, it's like the platonic ideal of like a cold one, right?
Yeah, this is like your true value neutral. Like, yeah, this is a cold one.
It's beer. It's what it is. It's not trying to do anything fancy. It does what it says on the label. It's of decent quality, of decent price. It's a Gansett. It's good stuff.
Gansett. Hi neighbor. Have a Gansett.
Hi neighbor. Like of the, how I don't know what kind of grocery store you shop at, but usually at least the way that American grocery stores are set up, their beer section, they put all of like their domestic macros, your Bud Lights, your Michelobes, your what's some of the other stuff in there? Your Coors, like they're all in the same section.
Your Coors, your Busch, your all that stuff.
Your Corona, what have you? They're all in the same section, even though Corona they call it an import. It's really, come on, it's a domestic. Anyways,
they stick Corona and Pacifico and Modelo all in the Cerveza section.
They usually get their own section, but anyways. Narragansett's usually in there with those types.
Sometimes
I will say pretty much the only one that I will willingly grab out of that section because I'm a snob.
That's
because I'm a big old snob.
If I'm just loading up on beer to drink, I will usually grab a Yingling or a Sam Adams. But Narragansett's a good choice too.
Yeah.
I did buy like a 6-pack of Narragansett for that Virginia vacation trip that I told you about, and this is the last of those. So I've been holding on to it for a good time.
Salute. Well, you chose a good time.
Yes, absolutely. Hi folks. This podcast is all about Narragansett now. Welcome to Brew Chat.
No, we should probably get back to talking about the film, I imagine.
I suppose this is a movie podcast, and this week we're talking about Steven Spielberg's Jaws, which, yes, friends, is not a Christmas movie. We're going to say this right up front. But we are your one-stop shop for holiday madness, and Jaws is very much a 4th of July film. So, you know what? It counts.
It counts in a way, yes.
This is a very special episode, I guess you could say.
A one-off.
One-off. We're not going to rate this on the crankometer tonight. I think we have a special a special meter called the yankometer for this one. So
or the Hankometer with Hank Hill.
That's true. Either or, I think.
No, wait. Was the Hankometer just for our stuffers about King of the Hill, if I'm not mistaken? It
may have been, yeah. Because it's been a long time since we've utilized either one of those systems.
I guess it's the Yankometer.
We have fun on this show, don't we?
We do.
Oh, man. So, Brad, real quick, tell me about your experience with Jaws over the years.
Well, this is the second time that I've seen this movie. I picked up a lot of this movie through cultural osmosis, as one does. Oh,
sure. Yeah.
And then I believe that it was actually you that sat me down and told me, well, you haven't seen Jaws. You have to watch Jaws. I believe
I do remember that. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it was part of my Brad education series. For those uninitiated, 10 plus years ago now, Joe and I were fast becoming friends, and he realized that I was woefully undereducated in film, and even in like popular culture film.
Right.
And so he devised sort of this course for me called Brad Education, and we did a little walk through popular film of the last like 60, 70 years, and it was really delightful, and I had a great time doing it.
I remember I had you watch some of the canon classics. Like we definitely did Citizen Kane and North by Northwest.
Singing in the Rain,
which is still like, it's a film school favorite, but you know what? It's a favorite for a reason, guys.
That's a good ass movie.
Solid movie. But also, in there we stuck Jaws and Terminator 2 and some real just like some good populist, action movies.
RoboCop, I believe.
RoboCop, that was in there.
First time watching RoboCop was with you.
Mm-hmm.
First time watching Jurassic Park was with you for the re-release in the theaters. If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yes,
that was a blast. Yeah. Oh, I think we watched E.T. together as well, or Poltergeist. We watched Poltergeist for sure.
That's right. We watched Poltergeist.
I think you did like a mini Spielberg series with me, if I'm not mistaken.
God, what happened to that version of Joe? He was such a nerd.
He's sitting right in that chair, my friend. Come on.
Oh, I know. I'm well aware of who I am.
You saw a blank slate and you went for it, and for that I thank you.
It was my one shining moment, my one shot of possibly being able to teach a film course, and you're damn right I took it.
You did it. You did it so well, and it's the best course I've ever taken.
Free of charge. Free and worth it, as they say. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we watched this, and it was a good time. And then I proceeded to forget almost everything about this movie.
That's the sign of a good movie, when you can like rewatch it and watch it again like it's the first time, and just kind of marvel at like, yeah, this is a good ass movie.
It is a good movie. I'm gonna spoil the ending here. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I mean,
solid film.
Yeah.
All right. Can you believe that this is PG? This is rated PG.
I cannot. From the days, like well before they had a PG-13.
Yeah.
So like, unless you just like, swore up a storm or cut limbs off on camera, you could get away with PG-13. Yeah. And Jaws I feel like Jaws kind of snuck in there because there's some really graphic stuff in this movie, like kind of shockingly graphic stuff.
There is. I wouldn't show this to a kid under the age of 13, for sure.
Oh Lord, no. No.
Yeah. All right.
Like, I mean, I went through the film. I kind of noted all of the kills. There really are only 5 kills, which in a movie like this is just shockingly low.
For the 70s, though, for a popular film in the 70s, is that low?
I mean, like it's no Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
Well, what is, right?
But even then, like that movie, kill count pretty low. It's the manner of the gratuity of it all. But like what I'm getting at is like, each of the 5 kills they're not that graphic, but it's more of like, they play with the editing, they play with the shot choices so that you imagine it's so much worse than what you actually see.
Quince is kind of graphic. Let's call a spade. But it has to be. It's like the climax of the film, right?
Yeah, they're building up to that because, like, they know you want to see a guy get eaten by a shark, but they have to build up to it,
right?
They can't just jump straight to a whole body going into a shark's mouth. That's too much too soon,
right?
So like but that first kill is just horrifying because it goes on for so long.
The swimmer.
The swimmer, yeah, the girl swimming in the ocean at night, or is it morning because they shoot it like day for night? I don't know. It's a weird time frame.
I think it's supposed to be like really early morning after like a long drunken night is the way I interpreted it.
Maybe because like you see her in the water and it's like clearly nighttime, but then you see the guy that was chasing her on the beach and the sun's coming up.
Yeah, but the sun's also over her when she's in the ocean too. So I think it's supposed to be, and the sun is over the ocean, so it would, and it's East Coast, Amity Island, New York. So it has to be the sunrise, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, that is the sunrise. None of this matters because it's just
it's completely incidental. But we want to hash it out.
It's fun. It's fun to notice these things. It's like that's how they made movies back then. I mean, for anybody out there For anybody out there who hasn't seen Jaws before, should we give like a brief, like this is what Jaws is kind of rundown?
Well, first, you should probably just not listen to this and go watch Jaws. Maybe.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere because the internet gods hate us. You have to pay money.
Well, at the time of this release, I believe it's going off of... It was on Stars on Prime.
Right. Okay. But if you didn't have the Stars subscription, you had to pay to rent it.
Right. But there's always... You could get your charter boat going and sail the seven seas, if you know what I mean. Anyhow.
Pop that DVD in that player because I know you have one.
There you go.
But yeah, if you haven't seen Jaws, go watch Jaws. It's fucking great. It's Jaws. But yeah, so it's Amity Island, New York. I guess it's sort of the analog for like Martha's Vineyard, right?
Yeah, they mention Martha's Vineyard and like all of the other offshore resort, New England resort islands in one scene. So yeah, It's kind of considered it's similar vibes.
I think they actually literally shot it in Martha's Vineyard, so
okay.
You know, yeah, there's a little bit of confusion there, but whatever. But yeah, so a great white shark is feeding on tourists just off of Amity Island, and the police chief, Chief Brody, is trying his best to get them to shut down the beaches on the 4th of July. Which, of course, is a fool's errand because, as we all know now, thanks to living through COVID and everything, that you can't tell people to do anything without them pushing back just because.
Or especially if the almighty dollar is...
Oh, yeah.
It has something to do with it.
Right, because the shark threatening the 4th of July weekend is like going to destroy the local economy. Maybe 2 weeks of tourism shouldn't be what your entire year revolves around, but that's just me. But so police chief Brody calls in a shark expert named Hooper, who is played by Richard Dreyfuss, to help investigate and study the shark. And then when it becomes very clear that the shark is still out there and B, gigantic, they hire the services of a local fisherman named Quint, played by Robert Shaw, who offers to catch and kill the shark for $10,000. And that is the entire plot of the movie. This movie is bisected into two parts, and then you have the build-up, which is almost all occurring on land in Amity Island, and it's really well done the way the first act sort of unfolds. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just the mark of a good movie is there's, other than these couple of attacks, nothing's really going on except characters talking about the situation to one another, but it works well enough and the dialogue is well written enough that it holds your interest. And the thing that makes the build up in the first act so great is the red herring, so to speak, where the second kill, a little boy gets eaten, and his mother puts out an ad in the paper saying whoever can kill the shark gets $3,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's $17,500. Thank you. And so everybody and their cousin shows up like within the next couple of days to try to kill the shark and get the reward. And they end up killing a shark. And for the mayor, that's good enough. And they have a picture taken and they try to get it in all the papers, widespread, so that all the tourists come back to Amity Island, which is great, right? Because that sets up sort of the stage where you have people who know what's going on and are willfully ignoring it, and then you have the public who thinks the threat is gone, who are coming in droves, and it's really building up this sort of this inevitable clash.
Right.
You see like, ferries loaded to the rafters with people coming in for the 4th of July weekend, and you know that shark is still out there. It's such a good setup.
It is, and it's also just nice to be able to kind of get into sort of the life of the town of Amity over this first like hour or so, because you see sort of the internal bickering between the police chief and the mayor and the city council, and then the people that complain to the police chief, they want like the the old man who wants him to get onto the kids for karate chopping the fence posts down.
Yeah.
And that guy comes back like a couple times. Just the people who live in the town who are just trying to do their best, And
it sets up the stakes for the second half of the movie, because if the movie just started out when they're on the boat, it wouldn't work nearly as well, right?
Right, because at that point you don't really know why these guys are out there, after the shark. What's so important about the shark? But when you realize that, the livelihood of a whole town is at stake, okay, that it clicks and it makes sense. Like, these three guys are fighting for their whole community.
Yeah,
it's a very man versus nature kind of film. This is a man's movie, I was watching it this time and kind of realizing this is definitely one of those guy movies for dudes,
Yes, and I want to put a pin in that, because
okay,
there's a dynamic that sort of unfolds in the back half of this movie, which I absolutely adore.
I think, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, we can kind of get into it since we've already talked about the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
But
it's all of it is revolved around the character of Hooper, who is a scientist, but also B, apparently a spoiled rich kid.
Yes.
And you get the clash between, the lifer fisherman who's basically grown up with a fishing rod in his hand versus the rich kid who just apparently spent all of his entire family fortune to go and play fisherman. And, is one better than the other? Well, maybe, but it doesn't make Hooper's contributions any less valid.
Right. Do we want to get into it, or do we want to do video game chat?
Oh, do you have video game chat for us?
Yeah, during the scene, we're still on Amity Island during the 4th of July when the crowds are everywhere.
Yeah.
There's one shot where it cuts to an arcade game called Killer Shark.
Oh, yeah.
Made by Sega, 1972. It was an old electromechanical game where you kill sharks. You kill them dead. There are only 5 existing in the wild nowadays.
Wow.
Those old EM games are really hard to keep up. And a lot of them, were probably junked at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then next to it was a computer space. If you saw that yellow, weird-looking thing, that's a computer space.
Yeah, I think I saw the yellow and just naturally assumed it was Pong, but that may not have been out yet.
Hang tight. Gonna do my... I think Pong was post 75. No, 72. But Pong didn't look like that. Computer Space was like this really weird, wonky, molded plastic cabinet. It had a very distinctive look. That was
okay. Yeah, I see him. I see him here. Pong is like a very boxy sort of generic.
What you would think of as an arcade game, and that was
right.
That was a big part of Atari's approach too. Is that they really dialed in that sort of design, not cheap, but their designs of the cabinets had an eye towards scalability, so that they weren't made out of fancy glittery molded plastic, or they didn't have large mechanical parts that needed maintenance. They were just boxes with a computer board shoved in. So,
more utilitarian than Computer Space was. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, another thing that I really like about just even that little glimpse of those games is like something. It's like a time capsule for what video games looked like in the mid 70s. Because like you get this, and then I'm also thinking of like there's a couple scenes in the original Dawn of the Dead when they have nothing better to do but just like fuck around in the mall, and they go to the arcade and play some of the arcade games, and they're just so archaic looking by today's standards.
Yeah,
but like that's what they had back then, That's what video games and arcades looked like.
And they loved it, and it was still before the golden age.
It was well before the golden age.
Yeah.
And speaking of video games, I think it's a tragedy that it took until the year 2024, friends, for there to be a Jaws pinball machine.
Really? There wasn't a single one before that?
Let me double check this because I'm almost positive I'm wrong.
I would be shocked because wasn't Jaws something of a phenomena when it came out?
Oh, totally. It absolutely was. Like it was huge for the longest time. It was like one of the biggest movies ever. But I don't believe they ever made a pinball out of it.
Interesting.
Until
there is one.
Yeah, until Stern finally filled that niche and put a Jaws pin out there. You know, I played it recently. It's pretty fun. There's some good little toys in that machine, but
is there a hurry up mode where you have to shoot the tank in the shark's mouth?
There is like a hurry up mode where like the shark pops out of the bottom of the table and you have to hit him in the mouth. Yeah.
Yay!
But there's no tank there, but it's close enough.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
So where were we?
We were about to get on the boat.
Okay.
We have the police chief Brody. We have Dr. Is he a doctor?
Yeah, well, I guess he's a scientist. Let's say scientist.
Matt Hooper and the old salty fisherman Quinn.
Right. So at this point, you know, Miss Kittner has put out the bounty for the shark. They've caught a tiger shark. Hooper tells them in no uncertain terms, like, this is a shark, it's not the shark.
But what kind? What kind of shark?
It's a tiger shark.
A what?
No one believes him until the third victim is eaten, who's a local fisherman named Ben Gardner. No, I take that back. Because Hooper and Brody go investigating, you know, a derelict ship in the middle of the night, and they find a fisherman, Ben Gardner, whose head has apparently been bitten clean off his body.
And we get jump scared. Ugh.
That's a pretty good jump scare if you ask me.
It's a really good jump scare because you have the theme, the iconic cello theme playing.
Yeah.
And you think a shark's gonna come, but nope, dead guy just kind of falls down from a hole.
Dead guy, yeah.
It's a good jump scare.
But it's after this that, you know, all the crowds come in and everybody goes to the beaches. The mayor gives that news interview where he says, like, obviously everybody's having a good time here. A shark was killed. We're all having fun. Come to Amity Island. And then he goes, one of my favorite little moments that I noticed this time, he goes and he tells, I don't recall the guy's name, but he goes like to one of his friends and says, go get in the water. No one's getting in the water.
Yeah.
And the guy and his wife pick up their two kids and they all just walk into the water. And then it cuts to the wife, like the expression on her face, and she has this terrified, like, oh my God, I'm gonna die look on her face. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's got something on that guy.
I bet he does, yeah. But then you know, everybody gets in the water, and that's when the shit hits the fan for kill number 4.
Yes. Which happens in the estuary. They spot a fin and there's guards everywhere, right?
Yeah.
They're still trying to take this seriously or at least put everybody's minds at ease. And they spot a fin and then they get everybody out of the water and there's a scene of absolute panic with everybody getting out of the water and then it's revealed to be 2 boys with a cardboard fin. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Who almost get shot. And then we get that fake out and then this girl spots the actual shark heading into what they call the pond, which I think is just the estuary area, like the leeward side of the island.
Right.
Where Brody has sent his son and their friends to play on their boat because he didn't want them out where the shark is going to be. But lo and behold, the shark is back where Brody's kid is.
Yeah.
But then a rando who's like just happens to be there as well in a rowboat.
He goes out there and he's like, hey kids, are y'all doing okay? Like, just wrong place at the wrong time, buddy.
Yeah. Absolutely. A well-meaning man in the wrong place at the wrong time. The kids get knocked off of their boat and they go into shock. And that's kind of a wake-up call to Brody that he needs to take this even more seriously than he already has been. And he strong-arms the mayor into signing Quint's contract.
Yes.
Which is an additional $10K over the bounty.
Yes.
which would be $56K, give or
And then-
take, in today's dollars.
And then Quentin starts naming off all these other demands that he requires for this trip. Like oh God, I can't even remember.
1 case of apricot brandy. You buy the lunch.
2 cases. You get dinner when you get back.
Get the HOA off his keister or something like that, or like the zoning law about his shed or something like that.
Can I bring in a different movie real quick that I just watched it last night for the first time in a long time, Armageddon.
Okay.
Which is dumb as a brick, but there's a great bit in there where like all the guys are gonna take this NASA mission to save the world and destroy this asteroid, but they have this list of demands that Bruce Willis has to read off to the NASA guys, and one of them's like, "Oh yeah, none of these guys want to pay taxes ever again."
Sure.
Like, I feel like Quint would have asked something like that. Like, let me just not pay taxes ever again.
I feel like Quint never did pay taxes, if I'm being honest.
He probably didn't. No. And honestly, what IRS agent's going to go knocking on that door? Nobody.
Precisely, and he knows it.
He knows it. Well, because like when we first meet Quint in his home, what is he doing? He's boiling shark jawbones in a giant pot. This man is the best.
And gives the sheriff a shot of homemade moonshine.
Yes.
I guess most moonshine is homemade by its nature, but you know what I mean.
Right.
All right. So we're getting on the boat. We're finally getting on the boat, but Brody has his demands in that Hooper needs to come along for the ride, basically, because he trusts Hooper's level of expertise. And so we get this dynamic where Quint is razzing Hooper for bringing all of his science gear and fancy equipment and things like that, whereas Quint's just got his normal ass fishing reel and like a bunch of barrels and a harpoon gun. He's like, yeah, I'm good. It's like 20 cases of beer, the usual.
Like you do.
A usual Thursday night for him.
Yeah.
So
a gross of Gansets, please.
Yes. So they get underway, and there's also a little bit where Brody has to get drunk to get on a boat. Like he's got severe aquaphobia, essentially.
Yeah, he's got that Mr. T from the A-Team syndrome. He don't want to get on no damn plane.
Yes, exactly. but replace Control F plane
with
Control R boat. Yes. So, but he realizes he has to do the damn thing, and he gets on. And we get underway, and we're starting to chum the waters. We're starting to track this shark.
And this is the second half of the movie has begun.
And we don't even see the shark until the second half of the movie.
Right. Like you get tiny glimpses of it. You get tiny little like
a fin
here and a little bit of bloodletting there, but like you don't see the whole shark until the
chumming scene where he's chumming the water and he turns away and the shark just kind of comes up out of the water.
Yeah.
And
he only turns around long enough to catch it, like dipping back into the water, and even that is enough to just like freak him out.
Yeah.
And of course, I think that it's pretty well known at this point. Like the reason they even did it like that was because like on the set, the shark prop didn't work like hardly at all. So they basically had to work around it and figure out like, okay, well, when can we shoot it and when can we show it working? So.
I think it's to the movie's merit, though, because
absolutely,
less is more, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like
it's
like a classic Hitchcock kind of move, where you don't see the killer until it's absolutely necessary. And like as good a filmmaker Steven Spielberg is, I still feel like a lot of this movie happened by accident.
Oh, for sure.
Like you couldn't have planned for stuff like that, and they made lemonade out of lemons, and it's fucking Jaws, man.
Yeah. So they get underway. They do have one run in with the shark. They manage to harpoon it, and they attach a barrel to it and a beacon. I don't know if this is standard operating procedure for hunting and killing sharks. not up to speed on that.
No.
I mean, it's kind of a smart way to do it if you want to kill a shark and tire it out, I guess.
You just drag it to the surface and make it,
tie a buoy to it and trust that it'll be fighting against it and eventually tire itself out.
Right, yeah.
They eventually they fight with it for a while, but then they lose it. And then they have this bonding moment over dinner where they're all, I'm assuming, drunk as skunks.
Oh, yeah.
You want to drink? Drink to your leg?
I'll drink to your leg.
Okay, so we drink our legs.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is that Hooper and Quint end up actually like forming a weird friendship.
Right there at the very end, yeah.
Like they actually get really close towards the end and are working as a team. The thing that it reminds me of whenever the shark is in effect and they're doing the thing, is they're both like preteen boys. Like there's such like a preteen boy energy about this movie with just like 3 dudes on a ship trying to kill some piece of nature. You know what I'm? Exactly what they're like. They're enjoying this far too much. I feel like
it's almost like two kids and their dad, because one is always barking orders at the other two, and the other two are just trying to hang. And
right.
and they're all getting. You're right. They're all getting way too into trying to fight and kill this shark, except for Brody, who is literally just trying to stay alive.
Oh yeah, Brody's hitting every second of it, but Hooper and Quint are loving every minute of this.
Oh yeah, because it's too good for them.
Yeah,
even when they finally harpooned the shark like 3 times, and they've got the ropes tied against the back of the ship, and Quint's plan is just, you know what? Let's just drag it back to shore.
Why? Yeah, there's so many scrap plans going on in this movie.
Right. There's like plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and then finally plan F is just, let's just blow it up.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. After the scene where they tie it to the back of the boat, that doesn't work. The shark pulls off the back of the boat basically, and they start taking on a lot of water. They finally get out Hooper's shark cage, and they're going to poison the shark, but by putting a syringe in its mouth, right?
Right.
That clearly doesn't end up working.
No, the plan fails immediately, just like everything else.
The cage just gets wrecked pretty much within 30 seconds of being in the water.
And I love the underwater footage of that, where you see the shark just absolutely demolish the cage. And apparently like they had to farm that out to like another team of filmmakers who are like who are well versed in shooting sharks underwater. And the guy basically like went scuba diving, hid behind a rock, and watched a shark get tangled up in the cage. And like that actually happened. Like they didn't stage it at all.
That was a real shark, and they just put like half a cow carcass in there or something.
Or yeah, whatever they did to like lure the shark got tangled up in the wires, and that's when you see like it do the death roll stuff, because it's just trying to get out.
Oh, well, I feel kind of bad for the shark.
I mean, I read later, like the shark did get away, like it got out, but like in that moment they were just like, yeah, this is horrifying, but let's shoot it.
This is horrifying, but keep rolling, Harold. This is gold.
Yeah. So like when you see the shot of like the shark rolling over that cage from below in a position where like that's probably where Hooper would have been sitting. Like that's, a guy with a camera was literally just sitting there watching the shark destroy this cage.
Yeah. Wow. They were even talking about like, to get the scale correct, they were going to put a little person in a scuba suit in the tank, in the cage. Oh dear.
Until they like the little person that they hired basically was like,
oh. I thought you were talking like a little doll. No, you're talking about a literal living little person. Oh yes. God. Oh dear.
Or just someone.
Yeah.
When I say little, I more mean just like someone small enough so that the shark scales up to be being
Got
huge.
it. Okay, small in stature. Got it.
But when the guy got there, he was like, "Yeah, I'm used to riding horses. I'm not a scuba diver."
Oh, okay.
So they scrapped that and was like, "Well, we're not doing this." Anyway, I'm talking like behind the scenes stuff because that's what interests me about this.
No, it is interesting.
But yeah. And then I guess, should we? I don't know where to go from there. Go from here, bud, because it's all so good. Every last bit of it.
It's a great film. It's 2 hours long, and it does not feel 2 hours long. It feels like an hour-long movie. It's a great movie.
Like, we could dedicate an entire podcast episode to just like the bonding scene, over the dinner table.
They're talking about all their scars
on the orca. Yeah. Because that's such a good character building scene when, like, for Quint to kind of realize that Hooper really does kind of have the bona fides, and he's done the work to be this kind of person.
Yeah.
But then Quint goes so far over the top when he gives that horrifying speech about the Indianapolis.
Right. Yeah.
It kind of just shuts everybody up. Like,
it kind of
no one's stopping this.
Yeah, it kind of sucks the air of the room, and intentionally, understandably so.
It's a great bit of acting, but oh my god, is it horrifying?
Yeah.
And I know Nicolas Cage made a movie recently about that ship. I don't know if like that incident was part of the movie or not.
Do you know if that incident happened?
Like, have you seen Nicolas Cage's Indianapolis movie? Please write in and let us know.
Yes.
Because I ain't got time for that. So, I mean, once the first 5 plans all failed, there's really nowhere to go but down, because the ship is sinking and Hooper is in the drink. Quint is in the shark's belly. Brody is all alone, and there's nothing left for him to do but just take pot shots at the shark.
But before he does that, we get a setup earlier in the film where one of the oxygen tanks gets knocked over.
Yes, and Hooper says, like, these are explosive.
Yeah, one small jolt will blow it to smithereens.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so as sort of a last ditch effort, Brody throws a tank into the shark's mouth, and then grabs like an M1 Garand, like a rifle, and just starts taking shots at the shark, trying to hit the tank. And eventually he does, and obliterates the shark.
And a giant rain of body parts and blood, and it's
Have you ever seen that video of where they blew up the whale on the beach?
I love that video.
Okay. Tone it back a little bit, but that's
sorry.
It's great. It's a great example of human stupidity, and I'm so glad that it got caught on film. What did you expect to happen?
Exactly. It is the granddaddy of like, what did you think was going to happen kind of videos. For anyone who's not familiar, Brad, what are you talking about?
There's this video of, oh god, it was quite a while ago. It was in the 70s, wasn't it?
It was in the 60s or 70s, yeah.
Yeah. So occasionally whales get beached on the shore, right? And it's a big problem to get rid of them because they're massive animals, right?
Yeah.
And you can let nature take its course, but it takes a long time, and it causes a huge stink. And the beach is practically unvisitable for humans for a long time. And in the 60s and 70s, they don't care so much about that sort of thing. They want people to be able to visit it. So somebody got the genius idea, well, we're just going to put a ton of dynamite inside of this whale and then blow it up, and it'll just vaporize the whale, and then we can get back to using the beach, right? Genius plan, right? What do you think? What do you think happens? The whale carcass just gets blown to absolute smithereens, but it doesn't get vaporized like they wanted it to, or blown out to sea like I guess they were trying to. It shoots like giant pieces of whale carcass hundreds of feet into the air, and then it just gets ejected onto like cars in the parking lot. People are running for their lives as like whale blubber is rotting whale blubber is raining down on top of them.
Like cars get smashed in, people get pelted with animal bits. It's just horrific. But it's also the funniest fucking thing. Because sometimes human stupidity is just enjoyable.
Well, it's a marvel to behold what we're able to achieve sometimes.
I did find the video. It's I'll put it in the show notes. It's called Exploding Well. Actually, the video I found was like the 50th anniversary. Like they cleaned up the footage in 4K and like the news site put it back online. It's wonderful.
Was that in the UK or the US? I can't remember.
It was in Oregon. It was in Florence, Oregon, November 12th, 1970.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas.
So then that obviously begs the question: do you think they watched that footage over again when they were making Jaws?
I don't
to try and get it like as like I guess scientifically accurate as they could.
It feels definitely similar, right?
It kind of does. Okay, I put it in the show in the
like you got the
Discord.
giant like sort of sections of gore and animal material like falling down from the sky.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe so. I mean, it's the greatest study. I'm sure it is the only up to that point it was probably the only film of marine life being blown up at that scale that was readily available.
Or certainly the most famous or well-known or even recent example of it. So yeah, I'm sure they probably looked at that and said like, let's maybe not model it after this, but like, what does this look like? Use it as reference.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe not.
Back then you would have had to do the legwork as well. You would have had to call up the station and get an archival tape or go to the library. I'm sure
get a
libraries
reel-to-reel
probably.
and ship it to the studio and then screen it in a screening room. Like think about Steven Spielberg. He's like 27 or 28 years old at this point. He's in a screening room in Burbank watching footage of a whale exploding.
I can believe it, honestly.
Oh man, to be a fly on that wall.
That would be a great panel question.
It would be. Actually, yes, it would be. If he ever did conventions, I don't know if he does, but I would totally ask that.
Does anymore, but that would be a wonderful panel question.
Absolutely.
If the exploding whale footage inspired the shark blowing up in Jaws.
Oh my god.
Or even if he knew about it at the time, you know?
Yeah, or if somebody on the production knew about that.
They didn't have Betamax in 1970, did they?
I don't think they did. I don't think that was
a little
there.
That was a little bit later, right?
Right.
Plus, somebody would have had to have the happenstance of recording it at that time. They would have had to call the station for that footage, I'm sure.
Yeah, that would definitely have been a. Call the news station for that tape.
But that was in the archives. I'm sure that one was on heavy rotation.
Oh yeah. Like
with the tech nerds in the back office that still had all of the old archival footage. I'm sure that one got busted out at parties.
Look, every intern that joins our news team wants to know the same thing. Yes, we do have the tape. No, you can't see it unless you pay a fee. The fee's $10. It's in the back room. BYOB.
Buddy, they don't even let me blow up the whale.
That's the end of Jaws, friends.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie. Hooper and Brody, they swim back to shore using the barrels and some random bits of wood as they're like swimming through the chum that's been created because the shark blew up.
And they're just having a laugh.
Having a laugh. All the seagulls are hanging around. Like the movie ends on such a like pleasant kind of note because it fades into that beach scene. And like the music is very like kind of calm and very pleasant. The Jaws theme's nowhere to be heard. It's like the end of a sitcom.
It really is.
Everything's put back the way it was, and Quint was never seen again.
And nobody had to pay Quint. The end.
That's the real triumph, isn't it? That the mayor never had to cough up $13,000.
Then the mayor never learned his lesson. The end.
Nope, because famously he is still the mayor in Jaws 2, and it happened again.
Womp womp.
Oh my god. So yeah, after that, Jaws 2 comes around, and Spielberg didn't want anything to do with it, but they went ahead and made it anyway. and it's pretty much just, oh yeah, there's another shark, and Brody has to deal with it. Then again, there was Jaws 3, where Brody's kid goes to work at SeaWorld, and a shark shows up at SeaWorld, and shit happens. And then, as we've covered on this podcast, Jaws 4, the greatest premise of all time, the shark chases the Brody family to the Bahamas because it wants revenge.
It's so good. By good, I mean terrible.
It's the stupidest idea ever, but somehow not the worst Jaws movie. I still believe this. It's perfectly watchable. It's just incredibly dumb.
The big thing about Jaws 4 is it makes this huge leap that the sharks are somehow have sentience on the level of humans, right?
Right. Like the sharks are a mafia that are literally out for revenge. But no.
But Jaws 1 is great.
Jaws is a great movie. It's a classic for a reason, and there's a reason we watch it every 4th of July, because we can talk about this. Like a lot of Christmas movies we watch, there's not a lot of 4th of July in this movie. But I feel like it's become such a big part of the holiday that we just watch it every 4th of July just because.
You watch it every 4th of July, that is?
I watch it around this time of year. Yeah, most years. I've recently kind of gotten into that.
Okay.
There was one year, I can tell you this, there was one year where I actually did watch it on the 4th of July. And I can tell you this story if you want. Okay. Again, this is me being Hooper because, my family went on vacation one year. We were in Canada, and our cruise ship docked in Canada on the 4th of July, but we can't go back home until the 5th. So for the 4th of July, we're stuck in Vancouver in a hotel where it's Canada, so they are not celebrating the 4th of July. So we basically holed up in a hotel room, ate Chinese food, and watched Jaws on TV because that was about as patriotic as we could get in Canada.
Yeah, it'll work.
And the only other notable thing about that incident was I was the one who had to go get the Chinese food. I had to go walk up the street in downtown Vancouver, and I happened across like a film crew shooting a movie or shooting something. Only found out after the fact that it was the Netflix adaptation of Death Note that they were shooting in Vancouver at that very moment.
Awesome. What a pull.
What a strange pull. Never seen it. Don't know if it's any good or not. Most people tell me it's terrible.
It's awful. I'm sure it's awful. The source material for its time was okay, but not very good either. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's funny. I never heard that story.
Yeah. Like I wanted to know so bad what they were shooting. I went back to the hotel and started trying to furiously Googling what it was. And it was like, oh, it's the Netflix Death Note. Oh.
Death Note.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm glad I didn't ask to be an extra in that.
Oh man. If you were, how good would that be?
That would have been a great end to that story, and suddenly tens of people are watching Death Note just to find me on there on Netflix, but no.
Holding a bag of Chinese food.
Holding a bag of Chinese food. Which was not to be. So yeah, let's rate this on our Yankometer, shall we?
Yeah.
I think it's time. So, like the Crankometer, the Yankometer is how patriotic a movie is, or rather, the Yankometer rates the movie on two axes. The x-axis is how patriotic the movie is, and the y-axis is how good the movie is. So, Bradford, tell me, how patriotic is Jaws?
It's no Patton, but it's about killing. It's about killing marine life, which is pretty American, I would say.
But not for no reason. It's for a very pointed reason.
It's for capitalism.
The reason of
capitalism,
preserving capitalism,
which is about as American as you can get, honestly.
Right. I mean, there's a big to do in the second act about people coming to the beach for the 4th of July. That's not nothing, but it's not like
I mean,
patriotic at all.
But the question is how patriotic.
I guess is patriotic the wrong word, or is it just how 4th of July-ish is the movie?
It's got explosions. It's got corruption. It's got communities coming together / tearing one another apart. It's got all the class. It's playing all the hits.
It's the great American novel, baby.
I'd give it like a 2 or a 3, maybe. I don't know.
It's there.
I know it's a large country and it's a large and varied country, but like New England is about as like mom and apple pie as you can get. Still, to me, in a way.
I get that.
You know, that's obviously not the American experience anymore for a great swath of the country, but it's still, there's like a certain look about it, a certain steeze about it, which it's kind of Americana-esque, I would say.
Yeah,
right?
like Amity Island and Jaws. I realize I'm going to be mixing some corporate IPs here, so just bear with me. Like Amity Island and Jaws is very like Main Street USA in Disney World, you know?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
It's the idea of like the quaint New England town that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah,
but
or possibly never even did.
Possibly never did, but it exists in our hearts and it exists in Jaws, and that's about as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's why I give it like maybe a 2 or a 3.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, let's go. Let's say a 2, because I'm not gonna belabor the point and say, "Oh, this is totally patriotic." No, it's not.
No,
it's
the
Jaws.
Shark blows up at the end, though.
Yeah, I mean, didn't I promise you fireworks?
You did. 2.
2. Happy Independence Day, everybody. And then the Y-axis, Brad. Did you enjoy Jaws?
I think it might have to be like a 5 or a 4. So good.
The only natural knock against it is that it is very male-centric, and I realize that that's a problem for a lot of people, but it's Jaws, man.
As 2 white heterosexual cisgendered dudes, it's a 5, but
it's a nat 5. But in our modern cultural discourse, it may be a 2, it may be a 3. Who knows?
I mean, it's a good. I think you can't deny that, like, as far as like the pacing goes and how it's structured and everything like that.
Absolutely.
It's a fine film.
Right. I guess it's like with a lot of things from the 70s and 80s. Like, if you can accept the fact that this is just how it was in the 70s and 80s, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
By modern standards, which, you know, let's judge old things by modern standards now. Yeah, maybe it's a little quaint and a little heteronormative. Fine, whatever. But it's not doing any of those things like out of malice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're fighting against a straw man that's probably not arguing with us at all. So let's just say it's a natural 5. On the Yankometer, friends, Jaws is a +2, +5. I think it's about as good as we're going to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so thrilled that we finally got to talk about a good movie for once.
We're going to spoil ourselves. We're going to watch some bad movies to make up for it. Did you watch the trailer for Red 1?
I didn't, but I did want to talk about that. So let's just watch that right fast.
Why don't you give that a quick watch?
Okay. So coming back from watching this trailer, they want this to be like a Christmas Marvel movie so bad, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, and not just because Chris Evans is in it, but like the humor and the weird sci-fi like fantasy characters, and I'm like rubbing my eyes so bad right now because I think I just poisoned them. It's got
like all the quips that you love to see in your favorite spandex heroes on the silver screen.
That's true. We can't take a premise serious for a single red fucking second, can we?
Nope. You gotta quip it up. That's the world we live in now. And guess what? It's coming to theaters.
Theaters? It's not just an Amazon
no,
exclusive?
Didn't you see it? I think it said November in theaters, November 15th, my friend.
Oh, it did. In cinemas, November 15th. Oh my God.
Well,
we might. I don't know if I want to pay monies to go see that.
Depending on when this comes out, we may be able to make this work. I don't know.
We might be able to hopefully they get it to streaming before Christmas, and we could Red Boxing Day it, or if we're feeling really
Stingy.
dangerous. If we're feeling really dangerous, we could Eddie Burback it, and we could buy a ticket to a good movie and then go watch Red One instead. To give the good movie our money. There was an Eddie Burback video where he watched Morbius in theaters for every day for a week.
Oh Jesus!
But he would buy a ticket to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then just go into the theater to watch Morbius.
Oh man.
So we could do that angle, but we'll see.
We might. We could. Like, I feel like I'm so over people trying to make Christmas movies a thing. And I realize I'm saying this on a Christmas movie podcast, but I just are we not done with this yet? Like, can we just stop making movies for a hot minute?
I think it still makes money, so they still keep doing it. Or
like,
somebody thinks that it still will make I think they're like, oh, this is the one. This has to be the one, right?
Oh yeah.
This is gonna be the next Elf. This is it. It's not. You're not gonna have another. You're not gonna have another Elf.
Like, oh, we're gonna chase that violent night money and make a gritty Santa Claus movie. No, you're not. No, you're not.
This one is very much like PG.
Oh no, it's oh my God.
What,
Brad?
Yeah.
You know how much money they spent on Red One?
Oh God, let me guess.
Take a stab in the dark. I'll give you 3 guesses, just straight up.
Are you going to give me higher or lower, or do I just have to do 3 guesses?
I'll give you higher or lower.
120 million.
Higher.
Oh God. I'm just going to double it up. 240 million.
Higher.
Fuck you. This is no.
I'm dead serious.
400 million?
Okay, no, you went too far.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say my first guess was gonna 340.
No, $250 million, a quarter of a billion dollars went to making a movie.
A movie that we know is gonna be mediocre at best.
Where The Rock saves Santa Claus, and I can't imagine it's not going to be streaming straight on Amazon within a week of its release.
Well, what's up, world?
Like, the only positive I can say is that, like, we finally get a live action J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus, because of course, Klaus is one of the greatest, like, new Christmas movies out there, and he's the voice of Santa Claus, but, like, seeing him in the flesh as Santa, I didn't know I didn't want that. I'm so sorry, everybody.
250 million.
250 million. Like, Amazon clearly has that much money.
Right.
But, like, could they not have spent it on anything else?
Yeah.
They could have made like 10 more seasons of Jack Reacher, and it would have made money somehow. This is not going to make money.
I don't think so, right?
No.
People like The Rock, but I don't think they like The Rock that much, right?
I'm gonna say something slightly controversial. I think people like Chris Evans more than they like The Rock.
What has Chris Evans been in?
He's Captain America.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You think people like Chris Evans more than Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
I think Chris Evans doesn't have the weird stink of failure that The Rock has right now.
Okay.
Because like the last few Dwayne Johnson movies have not done well.
Okay. I didn't know this because I don't follow Mr. The Rock very closely.
Well, he did that Black Adam movie for DC, and that
right. That bomb.
Yeah, that was a big old bomb. A big old stinker.
Yeah.
I mean, his big thing right now is like he's gonna do I don't know how many Moana movies until now, until the end of time.
I was gonna say he's got a steady bankroll if he keeps doing Moana sequels, but
I mean, he's probably got one more Fast and Furious in him too, but like after that, he's gonna have to start doing something, bud. I don't know. So what we're saying, friends, is that stay tuned because Red One is very much in our future. A number of people have sent this trailer to us in the last day, just basically warning us about this. Our buddy Tars Tarkus just sent it to us and just said, "Good luck, Christmas creeps." Oh, he knew.
He's got our number.
Got our number. Well, speaking of social media, friends, I think that's going to have to be where we leave this episode. Thank you so much for listening to our 4th of July extravaganza where Brad and I talk about Jaws for an hour. I certainly had a good time. Brad, what about you?
I had a great time. Thank you.
I always enjoy talking about movies with you, Brad. But if you want to get at us on social media, you can do that a number of different ways. You can find us on Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. We're at Christmas Creeps. You can email us anything you want at xmascreeps@gmail.com. And if you really want to talk to us, the best way is to come and join our Discord channel. The link to that will be in our show notes. Recently, let's see, what's been going on in our Discord?
Someone else sent us the trailer for Red One.
Someone else sent us the trailer for Red One. We've been talking about that.
We've got a music league going on right now.
We run Music League. That's been kind of fun. And we talk about books. We talk about the internet, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. And Christmas movies, because we do talk about our show and stuff. So come and join us. We have a great time. We'd love to have you. And I think that's going to do it. So friends, happy 4th of July if you live in the U.S. If you don't, I hope you're having a wonderful summer and or winter, depending on where you are in the world. And that's going to do it. So I've been Joseph Wade.
I'm Bradford.
Wishing you a happy July, friends.
Good night, July friends.
Good night, July friends.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas.